Hi, my name is Sarah Moraki, and I'm part of the team that has been working on the Sustainability Toolkit for the Roasters Guild. So, the purpose of today is to introduce you to part two of the Sustainability Toolkit, which is all about labor and human rights. So, let's dive into it. Before we start discussing the toolkit in itself, let's just freshen up our understanding of what sustainability is. I am sure all of you are very familiar with what sustainability is and what it stands for. But let's just level the playing field here a little bit. So, the United Nations defines sustainability as meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to do the same and to meet their own needs and wants. In the more strict sense, sustainability means the ability to maintain or sustain a certain system in balance. And this means being able to use the inputs of a system, of a process, and not generate negative offsets. What do I mean by that? Well, the inputs that a roaster use could be the green coffee, the gas or the electricity to operate the machineries and the equipment in the roaster. It could be the packaging materials and so forth. So how do we make sure that by using these inputs, we don't create negative offsets? These could be CO2 emissions or waste, use of plastic, or other maybe less tangible offsets. And that obviously refers more to the labor and human rights component. So now sustainability becomes more of a complex concept, and that's why it's good to break up the sustainability into different pillars. Well, first we have the environmental, which is about reducing the negative environmental impact of the roastery and being able to measure uh, the impact of the roastery when it comes to the environment. The second is the economic. So the big question is, how do we run a sustainable business that is also profitable? And last but not least is social. So how do we make sure that we run a business that is inclusive, that is equitable, that is safe for the people that work in the roastery, the employees and the staff, but also all the other stakeholders that are involved in the coffee value chain. And then, of course, we can go a level deeper and we can look at the social, environmental, social, economics factors of the sustainable path of a roastery. Now, sustainability for many companies like Patagonia, so what we have in front had Patagonia dropped during Black Friday, which is known for marketing gimmicks and excessive compulsing panicky buying. In this ad, Patagonia encourages consumers not to fall in the marketing trap of Black Friday, but look at their garments and see how they can reuse and recycle what they have instead of just panic buying. Now, of course, this is a world famous company, but the reality is that for a lot of companies and roasteries, and specifically, sustainability can feel like navigating stormy waters. Why? Well, first of all, sustainability is just one of the many issues and challenges that roasters face every day. From morning to evening, you're buying green coffee, evaluating green coffee, developing new roast profiles, engaging with consumers, figuring out your new marketing strategy. So sustainability is just another layer that adds to the complexity of running a roastery. And not only that, but it can undertaking a path towards sustainability is a huge investment. We look at companies like Nespresso or Starbucks investing millions in sustainability initiatives to meet the demands of their consumers that are demand transparency, more traceability, bigger responsibility when it comes to the environmental impact. Leave aside these huge companies, there are other roasteries that might have the resources to hire consultants to help them prioritize sustainability investments, or other roasteries that may want to pursue certifications like the B Corp. But then there is a lot of other roasteries that may not have the resources to invest in big sustainability initiatives, and this can be a problem. And this is why, as the Roasters Guild, wanted to develop a toolkit that helps all roasteries undertaking their path to sustainability and help them navigate the stormy waters. And when we build the toolkit, we try to adhere to some basic principles in order to make this toolkit successful for you. The first one is we want the toolkit to be goal-oriented. We want to help roasteries identify needs and prioritize investments, and being able to set goals ahead in the short and long-term future. We also want to allow roasters to be able to measure the outcomes. This allows them to understand what is the ROI of their their investments, but also being able to communicate what they're doing to the industry, and more importantly to the consumers that more and more are asking about this type of information. We want the toolkit to be accessible, so every roaster that is member of the guild can access this toolkit, can be part of this initiative, and feel included in this joint path that we're undertaking. And last but not least, the toolkit needs to be practical. We don't want this to be an academic exercise. As we said, it requires huge investment. There's a lot of things happening in the roastery. So how can we create a tool that helps you achieve your goals, but in a way that is practical and is manageable in your day-to-day work? So the toolkit is composed of 4 parts. The first one is the environmental component. We launched this part of the toolkit already a few weeks ago. We already presented it, and we made a survey available for roasters to take to understand where they are in their path towards a more environmentally friendly roastery. And we were also able to share the insights and some of the most important or interesting aspects that came out from the survey. Today, we're opening the second part, which is labor and human rights. And this will focus specifically on how to make the roastery a safe and inclusive space for everybody that is working in the roastery. Between August and September, we'll open up part 3, which is on the social component of sustainability. So touching more on how the roastery can interact with other stakeholders in the value chain. And last but not least, the 4th part, which will be released later on, it's all about transparency. So what happens when we open the second part, human rights and labor and human rights? So let's have a closer look. When you access the toolkit, first you will see an introduction on what labor and human rights are. And here we have a quote from the United Nations. And what will follow is a very brief list of questions, about 7 questions that will allow you to, again, benchmark yourself against labor and human rights, and will give you some insights on how to make your roastery a more safe and inclusive environment. This should be a relatively short exercise. We think it will take between 5 to 7 minutes, but the outcomes will be very important. What will follow after you have taken the survey, we'll record another session where we'll discuss the findings, we'll share some interesting insights, and we hope this will spark a conversation among roasters, and hopefully give you some inspiration on what you can do in this particular aspect of human rights and labor. So what is the next step? Well, we invite you to visit the Sustainability Toolkit portal. This is the link to access it. Once you access this link, you'll also be able to take this short survey, and this will allow us to later on to share the findings with the community. We hope that you can be part of this initiative. Thank you in advance for your time and effort, for participating in this initiative. And we will join again very soon to share all the findings. So thank you and see you soon.